Yeah, okay, sorry. What a meek little boy. Or girl. After a hesitant glance at Randall, the Mavar let out a mumbled apology and scurried away, disappearing into the crowd. Fucking hell. Randall shook his head, letting out a sigh. I figured this shit might get out of hand, just not so goddamn fast. I was doing my best to keep everybody calm. I didn't mean for you to go through that, Marcus. No need to apologize, I am always happy to be a source of entertainment. Shrugging, Marcus nodded in the direction of the Mavar that had run off. The Queen can't be here herself, so I figured another cold body to shout at was needed. Can't recall the last time I've gotten so many death threats so quickly. Yeah, well, things are real tense after what happened. I don't know how much longer we can... As Randall spoke, his eyes suddenly flicked onto me, widening sharply. Oh, hey, Valkii, I didn't even see you over there, huh? You doing okay? No one's been giving you any shit tonight, I hope. Not yet, I almost feel neglected. Ha, well, if it's any consolation, the night's still young. As Randall let out a faint chuckle, I noticed a lot of intense looks aimed towards Marcus, although not all of them were angry. But if Randall hadn't been standing next to us, I had a feeling Marcus would have gotten a lot more than just stares. If I'm going to be honest, I wasn't expecting you two to show up. Definitely not together, either. I guess Marcus already swept you up in his pace, huh? For some reason, Randall didn't acknowledge Elusia, but when I glanced towards her, I realized she'd already slipped away from us. Oh, smart girl. What brought LA's most infamous guy and the promising newbie out here anyway? I don't know if he's gonna... You know what, I'm gonna save it. You're gonna see a lot of save files of his. Oh... Okay. I'm gonna say we stopped by to pay our respects to your clanmate. See if he buys that. Really? That's pretty tender-hearted of you, but it doesn't sound like something Marcus would do. You're implying my heart isn't tender? I'm not implying, I'm just saying it. Your heart's more like leather that's been hanging in the sun for 60 years. He shot Marcus a wry smile, one that seemed affectionate despite his words. Listen, I want to talk to you two, but first, I've got to get everyone's attention and say a couple things. I need to calm these guys down. Marcus. Randall paused, exhaling a faint sigh and rubbing his beard with one hand. I know you're probably going to say no, but I'll offer anyway. If you want, you could say a few words to everyone, maybe try and smooth things over. You know how people feel about you. You can push their attention towards fucking anything, like a compromise with Queen Bitch if that's why you're here. I'm not saying you can single-handedly end the war or any dumb shit like that, but you've got a way of making people think. The invitation seemed to catch Marcus off guard, but before long, a slow, thoughtful smile crept across his lips. Why, that sounds like a marvelous idea, Randall. He's surprising me again. I did not expect that he would want to talk in front of a lot of people. I'm not the mouth for these ears, but if you desire me to voice my thoughts... You've got the whole preacher thing going on. You've got to be good at it. Now, don't make me regret this. It isn't my place to make you do a single thing, Randall. They traded mischievous looks, although Randall's eyes almost seemed innocent compared to Marcus's. I've got a feeling this is going to be great. Yeah, Marcus likes to put on a show, so you're probably not wrong. I just hope folks will give him a chance to speak. Randall started walking towards the front of the crowd, motioning for us to follow. Come, Valkii. Stand beside me in case I require moral support. Do you even have any morals to support? That's so funny. I need to save and choose that one, and if I don't like it, I'll go back, but I need to see what that one ends up like. Do you even have any morals to support? Of course I do, ones that I myself have created. I'm gonna go back and be nice to him. Happy to be of service. You may say such a thing now, but yeah, he's making me regret it already. Hey, you guys coming or what? Oh, look at the kitty. Marcus and I trailed behind Randall, who led us through the bustling group. Before long, the three of us ended up on the front porch. Apparently, Randall intended to use it as a makeshift speaking platform. Listen up, everyone. As soon as Randall's commanding voice boomed out, a hush quickly fell over the noisy gathering. Everyone's attention turned towards us, their eyes flickering between Randall, Marcus, and me. Seems to me like there's still a lot of tension in the crowd here, but that's not what tonight's supposed to be about. How do you think Jackie would feel, seeing how you guys are acting at her celebration? The silence continued, though I noticed some of the Mavar averting their gazes sheepishly. We're here to remember what everyone really wants, freedom and the right to happiness. Why does he have a plaster on his hand? Those things aren't limited to just us or to any house, hell, not even just to vampires. There were murmurs of agreement, and the tense atmosphere seemed to relax a little. Now, I want you to hear out a trusted friend of mine, Markus. I don't care what you've heard about him. He's a good guy, smart and unbiased, always calling out the truth of what he sees. His friend Valkii is here too, the newbie everyone's talking about. Don't make her think we're all assholes, alright? Instead of raising a fuss, Randall's audience offered a short, uncertain applause along with a few light cheers. Yay! They didn't really seem to know what to think, but Randall had apparently convinced them to hear Markus out. As Markus took Randall's place, however, a few boos and excited screams instantly rang out. Still, he seemed unfazed, his pale eyes curiously studying the crowd for a few long moments. I could see the Mavar in front shifting impatiently, waiting for him to speak. Every moment of silence drew the anticipation even higher. This is a time of fear, my friends. When he finally spoke, the group went deathly quiet. All I could hear was the rhythmic sound of crashing waves. Fear strikes every vampire in Los Angeles, each for different reasons. For you, it is the fear of oppression, of unfairness. I saw a few stiff nods, scattered agreement and approval for Markus's words. Right now, at this very moment, I too am stricken with fear. I'm afraid of you. Everyone stayed silent. A sea of curious, puzzled eyes all focused on Markus, who gazed back at them unwaveringly. I fear the Mavar, the Ascari, and the Golgotha. I fear you because you are good, because you truly believe you are good. The same belief that caused the crucifixion, the Crusades, the same belief that slays your fellow vampires. A belief in good that causes oppression, death, and misery, for good must always have an evil to fight. What the hell is he talking about? Is this a Mavar? Dude, it's pretty simple what he's saying. He's saying that a lot of things started for what they thought were good reasons that turned out to be bad. It's not that hard. I don't know, man. Doi. A stream of confused murmurs ran through the crowd. I'm afraid of you, my friends. I'm afraid because all the voices you disagree with, you'll crucify. Every new set of values and ideas must be aborted in its infancy, but fortunately history is written by the winners. Was that a fortunate thing? We don't want some kind of genocide, man. Someone loudly called out to Markus, who turned his head towards the voice. We just want equality. We want to get rid of Queen Bitch, that's all. You think we should all be equal, right? Why, of course. What kind of utter madman would say no? He emphasized the word with a wide grin, spreading his arms out. See, if he disagreed with them, they would crucify him. This is making his point. That's so funny. No shepherd, one mindless herd. That's what we all desire, isn't it? To be a mass of equal, writhing worms is every man's utopia. This time his words caused angry shouts to spring out of the crowd. However, I heard a few cheers conflicting with the harsh voices. Some of them actually seemed to agree with Markus. With an alarmed look in his eyes, Randall reached out for Markus's shoulder, but Markus pushed his hand away. For everyone to want the same, be the same. No rulers, no ruled, no poor, no rich, just one grey sludge seeping into the earth. Who would need intelligence when we've destroyed every truth except for one? He's right. Not silently in agreement. I dipped my head, acknowledging what Markus had said, but it looked like his audience was much more conflicted. What is this? Some kind of neo-Nazi shit? Really? Even back in 1996, they were comparing everything to Nazis? Neo-Nazis? Really? These people are losing my respect really quickly. This is not some neo-Nazi shit. I think what he's saying is trying to, like, counter Nazism, because, you know what I mean. Did Queen Bitch send you here? Should have fucking known. Accusing cries cut through the air as the Mavar started buzzing like a hive, but Markus didn't miss a beat. Charisse, you say? I wonder, just how did she gain her throne to begin with? He pursed his lips in mock thoughtfulness, raising his voice to shout over the crowd. Ah yes, from the Ascari who started fearing their own kind. Their fear of you helped her rise, helps her stay in power. Give credit where it's due. He's right, there isn't just one person at fault. Are you a fucking idiot? Charisse is the reason why Jackie's dead. That's so stupid, like it's your fault as well. Ugh. The Mavar started shouting at each other, their attention torn away from Markus. I noticed the few Golgotha and Ascari in the crowd taking advantage of the confusion, hastily slipping away. Markus! Randall grabbed Markus's shoulder, jerking him back. What the hell are you saying? Are you hearing yourself? I didn't think you'd... Is this some kind of joke? You asked me to speak, Randall. Marcus murmured his reply, barely audible over the deafening crowd. I have kept silent until now for the very reason you can see before you. But now it is time to peel the skin back, so the truth is revealed before Valkii. Their gazes both flicked towards me. Don't bring me into this. Randall's eyes filled with fury and Marcus's with satisfaction. It was bound to happen, Randall. They don't really want peace. What the hell is wrong with you two? I can't fucking believe you, Marcus. I thought you'd... With a disgusted growl, Randall turned away from us, dashing into the crowd. Let's see if that just boot... Kind of everyone hated me a little bit there. If that's anything to go on, what I just saw move down a little bit. Everyone kind of hated me a little bit there. But even his presence didn't seem like it could calm the pure chaos. Well, I do believe it's high time we depart. Stay close to me, Valkii, so we might remain unscathed. Marcus beckoned me along casually, then stepped off the porch. I didn't have much of a choice but to follow him, so I did, wading into the frenzied group of Mavar. Fucking traitor. No, I support the clan, really. As I traced Marcus's coattails through the crowd, the heated voices of two girls clashed beside me. See, this is the whole point. Even in the Mavar clan, like, clashing ideals is not allowed. You need to think what everyone else thinks, or you're a traitor. That's exactly what Marcus was saying, and they're just proving his point. A hive mind isn't good, and I feel like a lot of the Mavar have... This is the same with a lot of causes, I think. They focus on one thing. A cause will support one thing, and in the Mavar's case, it's probably rebellion. Rebelling against the system, rebelling against authority, kind of thing. Like it's very obvious, but they don't think about the other things. It's kind of like, maybe a bit controversial here, but it's kind of like feminism, where I feel like feminism has kind of lost its meaning. People try to make it very inclusive of everyone, but really what it has always been about has been about elevating women. But instead, they've made it about one thing, which is being inclusive to everyone and solving everybody's problems, instead of what feminism used to be. And now, if you don't believe that, feminism should be inclusive, then, like, completely inclusive, if you know what I mean, as in, it's not what it used to be about, then you're a traitor. You're not a feminist. How could you possibly be a feminist? It's the same thing. You're cast out. It's the same thing. It always happens with causes. There's always one thing people get into it for, but then everything else falls by the wayside. So actual women's issues, push down. Nobody thinks about them. It's all about being inclusive to everyone. That's it. I'm kind of hoping for a little bit of old school feminism to rise up. But yeah, that's obviously not a topic for now. Sorry if I got too controversial there. But that's basically what this is. You know, once you have a hive mind, it's really hard to... it's hard to get people thinking again. Because they don't want to think. You know, other people have done that for them. As I traced Marcus's coattails through the crowd, yeah, blah, blah, blah. You piece of shit. You can't support us and agree with that fucker. I do. I mean, I don't agree with him. I just... One of the Mavar shoved the other to the ground, stomping on her head. Whoa, chill. The fallen one, who looked much stronger, seemed unwilling to fight back, curling up defensively as the smaller girl kicked her over and over again. I'm going to jump in to intervene. He'll probably make me out to be an asshole. Can't believe I'm saving over every one of Heath's saves. I ran towards them, forcing myself between the two Mavar. Hey! Glaring at me viciously, the shorter girl slammed her knee into my stomach before I could react. Meanwhile, the fallen Mavar jumped to her feet, darting away without sparing either of us a glance. But as I recovered from the girl's blow, a different Mavar jumped on her, starting to pummel her face. The brawling crowd shoved and pushed me along, and in the confusion I somehow managed to reach Markus's side again. We hurried away from the group together, where everyone was too absorbed by the infighting to give chase. Did he just not care that I did that? Like, I don't require him to be like, whoa, don't get yourself hurt, because I don't think he would literally ever do that. That didn't do anything for me either, I don't think. But to not mention it, maybe he will. I don't think he will, though. I don't know what the point of that was. I couldn't... She was not trying to hurt anyone. I couldn't just stand there and do nothing. We hurried away from the group together, where everyone was too absorbed by the infighting to give chase. Their shouting grew more and more distant, until finally we managed to reach the quiet street again. A shame, truly. As we put a safe distance between ourselves and the beach, Markus heaved a disappointed sigh. After all that mess, I never had a chance to see the hors d'oeuvres. I don't know how to say that. Charisse is going to murder us both, isn't she? Oh, I rather doubt it. She won't lay a finger on you, I guarantee it. As for myself, I often act in her best interests, although she almost never understands it at the time. Thusly, I am well acquainted with her confusion and anger. But if I spoiled my intentions too soon, my actions could never reach their destination unhindered. All would be in vain. So back there, your speech was for her benefit? Indirectly, it was indeed. As for the Mavar, however... Consider this, Valkii. If they truly desired a compromise, how would those few shaky words of mine cause such an upheaval? A mere taste of controversy was enough to divide them, as you saw for yourself. He motioned in the air as we walked together down the street, heading away from the beach. I'm gonna go off on a small I'm gonna try and make it very small, but a small tangent. It does seem like the world is becoming increasingly less willing to listen to different views. I know I held views like a couple of years ago that have changed now because I listened to people and saw other sides, saw suffering that I was not willing to see before. Because I so tightly held onto these ideals that weren't even really true, you know? I had just been told these things from many, many people, but they weren't true. It was very, very odd to suddenly be confronted with truths you don't really want to see. But when you see them, you can't not see them anymore. You just have them in your head, so you can try to cling to something you once believed that kind of gave you hope. Or you can see the reality of something and, I guess, try to make a difference, even though it's really hard. I don't know. He motioned in the air as we walked together down the street, heading away from the beach. To build a truce from empty rhetoric, like... rhetoric? Why does that word sound bad to me now? It's getting late. Just my mind is going. Why? It's like building a castle out of salt. The slightest argument would cause the Mavar and Skari to clash, raising everything to the ground. No. Either someone with enough mass appeal must unite them, or one house must fall. He's talking about me there. What about the Golgotha? What about them indeed? They are certainly the weakest and least cohesive force, but if the other two houses devour themselves, the Golgotha will crawl from the earth and overtake the coven. There was a faint frustration in Markus's voice, though his face seemed calm on the surface. His excitement from earlier seemed to already be fading into tiredness, and his tall form slightly hunched as he strode forward. Wait. Markus suddenly grabbed my wrist, pulling me back beside him. His nails dug against my skin, bony fingers holding me in a firm grip. Can you feel that, Valkii? I paused, focusing on my senses to detect whatever he was talking about. Feel what? The love tonight? Let's be serious. Yes, two vampires. He motioned with his eyes towards the alley in front of us. Golgotha or Skari. When I peeked around the corner, I saw two shadowy figures murmuring in the darkness. I just can't believe it. You did hear what he said, didn't you? One of the voices belonged to Charisse's agent, the one who drove me back to the hotel. Of course, but I can't say it came as much of a surprise, really. And beside him stood the Golgotha emissary. If Charisse or Randall had listened a little more closely to Markus, they would have realized he's been brewing dark thoughts for some time. Of course, he does hide it rather well, and neither Skari nor Mavar are very skilled at detecting such fine details. The Ascari snorted distastefully, shaking his head. Well, he won't be coming back to the hotel anytime soon. When Charisse gets the news, she'll... Well, I'm gonna stay a safe distance away. Oh yes, I do wonder whether Charisse or Randall will be more enraged. Remarkable, isn't it, how a little speech can cause such a big ripple? I wish I found it as funny as you seem to. I assure you, I find it quite... Oh? Cutting off mid-sentence, the Golgotha suddenly jerked his head in our direction. It seems like we have a visitor. I'm sure they're here for your wonderful company, so I'll be leaving. Don't forget to tell my dead aunt I said hello. With a final sharp look thrown at the Golgotha, he hurried towards the opposite end of the alley. Rather than staying hidden, Marcus stepped out into the alley, gesturing for me to follow. Ah, if it isn't tonight's stars. As soon as we walked into sight, the Golgotha greeted us cheerily. Why, hello, Zhang. You weren't loitering in this spot for Valkii and I to saunter past by any chance, were you? Oh no, of course not. Zhang gave a quick scoff, dismissively flicking his hand. But it is such a delight to meet Valkii directly, since our first little incident in the garage wasn't the best introduction. And now here you are again, Valkii, in the middle of a fantastic ruckus. You're simply a magnet for mayhem, aren't you? I'll be using that as the name for my new ska band. Ska? Oh heavens. After a short pause, Zhang cleared his throat, putting on a slightly more serious expression. I do dread the idea of interrupting your little outing, but I'm really quite in need of your presence, Marcus. If you wouldn't mind accompanying me, there's a bit of information a certain someone wishes you to know. My, your skill at being ridiculously vague nearly rivals my own at times. Your speech could use a little more lyricism? Lyricism. Has to be that. Though, I'm afraid. Nonetheless, I will indeed accompany you, but let me bid adieu to this poor companion of mine first. Of course. Valkii. Shifting closer to my side, Marcus leaned in, murmuring under his breath. There's no need to worry. I have only stirred the pot so that you may see all it offers you. If you desire a certain future, you need only scoop it out. Choose whatever you like, and fret not for my opinions. I would like a different suit, please. Yeah, I'm gonna choose it, but I'll probably go back, because it seems mean to say. It's just funny. I would like a different suit, please. Then it's your lucky day, sister, for there are infinite soups to be tasted. Oh, come on, at least laugh. You boring sod. You mean you don't care who I support? Marcus shook his head, his pale eyes gleaming at me intently. The debates, the entertainment, the self-discovery along the way, those things matter, not the conclusion. Indeed, if I desired conclusions, I would have either joined the clergy or jumped off a cliff. No, I'd rather walk with you, Valkii. Fair enough. It's nice to not worry, because I feel like if I do, when I do, Randall's route, he's gonna really want me to stay with the Mavar. Which I can only imagine. Let me have a look, actually. Randall. Oh, this has faction rep tips. Okay. Right, Randall's route to... Oh no. To get Randall's special end, you need to do the Ascari high rep and... Sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable. Have a high rep with all factions and choose My Rebellion during the announcement. Fuck, that's gonna be hard. So I'm really just checking right now. Please note, the strategies I list here are not the only way to get these ends, and in some cases the MC's personality or house can affect the choices that appear, so they may be better. Oh, God, this is rough. Okay. Okay, I'll try. I'm gonna try to do everything. With those last words, Marcus left with Zhang, who flashed me another Cheshire Cat grin in farewell. I returned to the street by myself, hailing a cab to take me back to the hotel. Because the other guy is a coward and ran away. With the car. Sure enough, when Charisse found out about Marcus's speech, she was furious. I had never seen her so distraught before, even her subordinates seemed afraid. Just before she stormed out of the meeting room, she stopped next to me, hissing out a few slow words. Do not associate with Marcus. It's gonna be a bit hard since I'm on his route, but okay. From the bitter way she spoke, I couldn't tell if it was a warning or an order. But it didn't seem like she put any of the blame on my shoulders. All of her rage was completely directed at Marcus. Lucky me. By the time I finally made it back to my room, the sun was starting to threateningly creep across the horizon. Already drained from the night's excitement, I didn't need any more encouragement to crawl into bed. Marcus. If he planned to outdo himself like this for each of our meetings, I could only imagine what he might be plotting next. I had a feeling he wouldn't disappoint me. Okay. I still wish I would have more visions, you know. My eyes fluttered open. I felt like I'd been having an intense dream, but as soon as I tried to remember it, the image faded away. But more importantly, there was a gnawing, awful ache in my gut. Hunger pangs had woken me up again, apparently. Charisse was probably expecting a report on Elusia today, so I needed to pay the club a visit, but I had to feed first, even as a vampire breakfast was obviously still the most important meal of the day. Alright, let's drink from David. I knocked on the adjoining door between my room and David's, unlocking my side. Within moments, I heard a muffled coming and some various hasty shuffling. I'm here, Valkii. Within moments, David eagerly presented himself in my room, trembling with excitement. Come here, I need to drink from you. Ah, thank you. It's so creepy and weird. I fucking hate it, but let's do it. As soon as I sank my fangs into him again, his sweet blood started to soothe my hunger. Not making those noises. Like before, he seemed to enjoy it even more than I did. But this time I controlled myself so he didn't end up unconscious, only pleasantly dazed. What a good new vampire. After I drank my fill, I took David back to his room to rest. It really was convenient having him here, and he seemed to love our new arrangement. But it's weird. It's still weird. It don't feel right. Full of fresh energy, I emerged into the cool night air. You know why it's weird? Is because it's like me feeding on him is a drug, and I'm keeping him here with the promise of more drugs. I'm gonna shoo him away next time, even though it sucks because it's best for him. I'll hurt myself by hurting a fictional man. Charisse's car wasn't around, so I had to hail the taxi to take me to the club. Is her car ever gonna come back? The abattoir looked like it had during my last visit, only less crowded. Plenty of people still slithered around, grinding on each other and making out in dark corners, but it looked like I was too early for peak hours. Still, setting foot back here brought back a torrent of memories from that night. I came here without a clue that I'd soon be stepping into another world. Yet now, instead of being overwhelmed by all the human and inhuman predators hiding in plain sight, it almost felt like I was becoming one of them. Hey there, darling. A tap on my shoulder followed the sultry voice in my ear, jolting me out of my thoughts. I turned to see Elusia sauntering up, wiggling her fingers in greeting. Why, hello there, Valkii. Didn't expect to see you popping up again so soon, I must admit. How are you, darling? Getting along well with all the other big bad vampires? Yeah, we're getting along just fine. That's good to hear. No wonder, you're quite easy to like. She winked at me, but her cheerful smile started to fade a little bit. I'm just glad you're alright after that fiasco at the beach. Whew, what a mess. I always knew Marcus had a knack for pushing buttons, but I didn't think he'd punch them all out at once. He said something about revealing the truth for me. Oh really? Sounds like a Marcusism, no doubt about it. No idea what kind of truth he planned on revealing like that, but oh well. I suppose it's meant for you, not me. I just hope he knows what he's getting into by stirring up the Mavar. They're a fiery bunch. A worried look briefly flashed through her eyes before she expelled it with a sigh. Oh, speaking of fiery vampires, is there any way I might coax you into a favor, darling? Just a tiny thing. Wouldn't take you long, I promise. Of course, just name it. You see, there's this Mavar hanging around the bar, sweet boy most of the time, but tonight he's making a bit of a fuss. He and his group are, well, provoking some of the vampires, trying to argue with them, stirring up house rivalry. I'm all about free speech, but my club is supposed to be neutral ground, you see, so it's not the type of thing I want going on. Could you be a dear and intervene before anything nasty happens? Sure, I'll do my best. I'm sure your best is plenty, darling. Good luck. With a cheerful grin, Elusia gently shooed me towards the bar, pointing to a gathering of figures by the edge. I've probably not done enough to get the Ascari rep I need, so I'm not going to worry too much. There were quite a few of them, so fighting probably wasn't the smartest idea. I approached a little cautiously, trying to overhear what they were talking about. Why does he look familiar? Hey, they do like the person who did this did portraits for the most random people. This person doesn't even have a name. Or do they? I don't remember. How can you even go along with that? Don't you see he's controlling you? You might be afraid to talk about your leader, but I'm not. One of the Mavar growled out accusingly, his eyes full of passionate anger. I like plenty of Golgotha, but if you support that kind of guy, you need to take another look at yourself. You know what I'm saying is true, don't you? Some of the others at the bar averted their gazes, obviously not wanting to be pulled into the conflict. And you Iskari, you know Charisse is no different, turning new vampires just to have more soldiers for her cause. It's fucking disgusting. Nick's right, it really is disgusting. Yeah, and Randall, he'd never do something like that. Mutters of agreement rose from the group behind the man. Nick. The bartender spoke up hesitantly, but the Mavar, whose name was Nick by the sound of it, kept going. Okay, he does have a name, there we go. Nick. And now that she's showing her true colours, you still won't join us. It's not even about politics, it's about doing what's right. When our eyes met, Nick paused, doing a double take at me. Oh, damn. You. Aren't you the new girl, the one who just got turned? Actually, I have a name. It's Valkii. Yeah, I already know your name. I mean, how could I not? As Nick's focus settled on me, I noticed a few other looks thrown my way. Surprised, curious, wary. Like they were busy deciding whose side I was on. I've been trying to get any of these Iskari or Ghouls to stand up for themselves. You know, tell them why I should stand for the shit their leaders want to pull on us. Laws about whether we can act like vampires or not, killing people who step out of line, forcing everyone to keep their mouths shut. Sometimes it feels like Mavar are the only vampires who care about our freedom. I like freedom, but you've made your own chains. What? Chains? What the hell are you? I'm not making any chains, Valkii. He let out a passionate sigh, ruffling the back of his shaggy hair. I'm not here to stir up trouble just for the hell of it, but sometimes you've got to push a situation to get any results. This is a coven. We're like an organism. Everything affects everything else. Yeah, so why can't you see that what you're doing also affects everything else? You're not the only thing, like, that does everything perfectly. And you're a part of it now, Valkii. You understand that, right? I'll take a stand for my beliefs when I think it's the right time. You will, huh? Well, that makes me feel better. At least I know you can stand up for yourself and you didn't get brainwashed by Charisse. I know I'm wasting my non-existent breath on the Iskarian goals here, but you seem smart enough to not buy the bullshit. We were about to head back to the beach anyway. I think you should come by there sometime, less of her cronies running around. Alright, come on guys, let's get out of here. As Nick offered, I noticed the Iskari and Golgotha giving me long, disapproving looks, but the Mavar flashed me warm grins on their way out, a few of them patting my shoulders as they passed by. How is me being like, oh, I'll take a stand when the time is right? How is that how is that me saying anything bad about anything? Oops, I was trying to get to the stats to see how much that hurt me. I don't think it hurt me that much, or I don't think it hurt me very much, but I also don't think it did anything for me with the Mavar. Leaving the bar behind, I wandered back through the dance floor, searching for Elusia. Soon I spotted her standing by the wall, chatting with a man in something very close to a gimp suit. She quickly waved him off as I moved closer, welcoming me with a bright smile. When our eyes met, for a split second I thought I saw a beautiful raging flame. Ooh, that's my power, I think. I need another drink, I'm dying. Seems like your diplomacy did the trick, darling. Very nice. Now that you've taken care of that nasty business, why don't you tell me what you really came here to say? I'm all ears. She leaned in close enough to comfortably talk without shouting over the music, and I caught a whiff of rosy perfume. I came to negotiate an information deal. A deal? Whose deal? Just what kind of information? That sounds a bit ominous. Charisse wants to know about the vampire meetings and fights here. Charisse? Oh right, Charisse. Yes, my mistress always called her Queen Bitch, like Randall seems so fond of doing. So, Locke wants to know what happens around the club. Is that it? It's true, a lot of your folks come in here usually looking for a quick bite. She has good timing. A week ago I wouldn't have been able to say yes. My mistress, Jackie, she hated Locke. Thought she was the devil in a dress. But after what happened to her, well, she really left me in quite a tight spot. Elusia had to pause for breath, so I took the rare opportunity to say something. You're in a tight spot. Why? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Elusia winked coyly at me, twirling one strand of hair around a finger. Well, the truth is, the delightful feeling of being fed upon can easily start to get a little addictive. In fact, the only reason I stuck around my mistress for so long was because I needed my fix, so to speak. It's been quite awful without it, you've no idea. So I need someone to take a bit of blood from me now and then. No strings attached, just a win-win for giver and taker. It didn't take a genius to see what she was getting at. I could send someone over to help you. How thoughtful. You wouldn't mind? I promise you'll have a friend forever in this girl. Elusia doesn't forget cuties who help her out. And then I'll ask Charisse to sort it out, don't worry. Thank you so much, darling. Anytime you need something, you know who to call. Oh, and could you make sure they're cute? The vampire who gets sent over would really be the cherry on top. She beamed at me in delight, clearly thrilled by the new arrangement. Ah, before I forget, about the deal. Hollywood Heights Hotel is her headquarters, right? I'll give it a call tonight, see about setting up that little agreement. But for now, I need to be getting back to work, I'm afraid. Come by again as soon as you can. Thanks again for everything. You've got a real pluckiness to you. I bet you're going to go far one day. You're right about that much. See you. Bye! Elusia blew a kiss at me before turning around, sauntering back towards the Mavar Free Bar. And with that, my job was finished. I'm going to check my stats now, because sometimes it doesn't change for a while. Or does it just seem like it's always going down whenever I open it? After worming my way past a few unwanted admirers, I managed to slip out of the club. With still plenty of time before sunrise, I could visit a few places tonight if I could just find a taxi to flag down. The main streets were already flocking with people. I turned the corner to a more quiet road, about to hail an oncoming cab, when my senses suddenly prickled. Someone was watching me. I quickly glanced from left to right, trying to make out any shapes in the shadows, yet even with my sharpened eyes I saw nothing. Maybe it was just my imagination. Do excuse me, but might I have a moment of your time? A figure emerged from the alley behind me, tipping his hat in greeting. It was the same Golgotha I'd met in the streets with MARKUS, Zhang. What does the Mad Hatter want from me now? To invite you to the tea party, of course. His musical, carefree voice lingered in the air, almost bordering on laughter. Well, I'm simply dropping by to deliver a small message, courtesy of my master. Very convenient that I should find you here. Master, the father of secrets. Ah, splendid, I see your insight is already developing very well. Or perhaps his mind has already reached out to yours, only you can say. My thoughts instantly jumped back to the dream I had. I figured it was him. I don't remember his name, though. I don't know why I still want to say Luis or something. The father of secrets, it had to be him. You see, my master wishes to extend an invitation. He wants to meet the latest vampire riding a tide of rumors around Hollywood. Ooh, I want to meet them too. That would be you, my respectable friend. Aww. Zhang leered at me silently for a moment, rocking back and forth on his toes. After word spread about your partnership with Miss Locke, your disruption of our meetings with the Mavar, your association with various powerful vampires. Well, one rarely sees a novitiate with such an exciting start. It was only a matter of time before you attracted attention. Especially my master's. He stressed the first word pointedly, holding the second syllable long enough for his fangs to stick out and shine. When you say master, I get goosebumps. Are they good or bad? That would be up to you, yes? They are your goosebumps, after all. Whenever you're ready to meet him, just wander towards Hollyfield Cemetery and head for the mausoleum. Oh, and please, don't bring any guests. I'm afraid of ghosts, and now I know dead things don't always die. That's so fucking funny. Oh, that's so funny. I understand. The dead keep secrets well. What an astute observation. They are wonderful company. He nodded enthusiastically without a hint of sarcasm in his tone. My master just enjoys the charming requiescence that the cemetery provides, you see. Oh, and it also has a delightful view. With another light chuckle, the man offered me a small bow, adjusting his tie with one hand. Please do consider his invitation. I have no doubt you will appreciate it. Now, have a fantastic night, Valkii. Thanks, same to you. See ya. He bowed again, this time more deeply, before slipping back towards the alley. I wonder if that made him like me more. I'm obsessed with seeing my reputation start. It didn't. Again, it looked like they went down. I don't know why it does that. His presence seemed to fade away almost instantly, maybe some kind of trick, or else something more sinister. Only time would tell, or maybe nothing would. And I've gone on too long again on this video. I'll see you in the next one.